My name is Steve Chamberlain. I'm currently the Interim Chair of the Department of Educational Psychology and Leadership Studies and Associate Professor in Special Education. Well, I grew up in Fort Worth. I spent 18 years in Fort Worth before I moved to Austin and went to the University of Texas at Austin and got my initial degree in English before I decided that I was going to go back to school for education. And the way that I got into the field of special education is my mom had been a teacher, and I thought, well, let me try teaching. Let me substitute teach for a semester and see if I like it. So when I went to Austin Independent School District to interview for the position, they said, "Are you willing to do special education?" I said, "Well, of course, I'd love to do that." And little did I know that meant I was going to be working in a classroom for children with emotional disturbance every day. And that really became my calling. That semester I figured out that that's really what I wanted to do, was to work with children with emotional disturbance at that time. Yeah, I worked for about 6.5 years, basically working with children with emotional disturbance. 5 years in the Manor Independent School District, and then went back to school to work full-time on my PhD. I got all 3 of my degrees at the University of Texas at Austin. And then I started interviewing for positions, and this one was open, and I came here. I've been here for 15 years. So I think it's really important that I share my teaching experience at the K-12 level when I work with my students here at UTB, those who are preparing to be teachers or who are already teachers and are graduate students, because it helps us to make that connection between the research-based, the theory-based, and real-life in the classroom types of work, which is, I think, really important. But teaching kids with emotional disturbance was a very humbling experience because I realized that I had so much to share with them because they had so many needs. But I realized very early on that I was going to learn just as much from them because of the kinds of difficulties they had. They really helped me to see life in a whole different way. And so it was a very reciprocal kind of process and very powerful for me. Right, our UTB students are preparing for what's called a generic certification in special education. And so they're really they're capable of going out and getting positions with children with a variety of different disabilities. And so they could be working with children with physical disabilities, emotional disturbance, attention deficit disorder, autism. So special education runs the gamut of children with disabilities. So I really love working with our students here at UTB. They bring a real enthusiasm and an openness to learning. And many of our students have family members who have a disability, and that's how they get interested in special education. I think it's really important that children in general have an opportunity to interact with children with disabilities because they then get an opportunity to understand that they don't have to be afraid. With the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act that was originally passed in 1975 under the name Education for All Handicapped Children Act, we saw a real inclusion movement to have children with disabilities included into the general society, mainstreamed into education. That law has really changed the whole terrain for children with disabilities in school and in broader society. So my areas of interest in terms of research, I'm really interested in how culture, language, and disability intersect, and specifically how culture and language and disability affect the teaching and learning process. And so here on the border, we have to be really careful because we have such a diversity of linguistic capabilities. So we have some students who are very proficient in both English and Spanish, some who aren't proficient in either language, and then all points in between. And so we have a lot of diversity, and it's really important for us to determine what's disability related and what's not. So we have a lot of discussions in our classrooms about what causes students to fail. And there are a lot of reasons why students fail. And only one of those reasons is actually having a disability. And so we have to be clear with our students and teaching them to interpret behaviors based on whether it's cultural difference, language difference, or really disability related. So I'm currently the president of the Council for Learning Disabilities, and one of the journals associated with this organization is Intervention in School and Clinic. And so I've been fortunate enough to be the associate editor, or one of the associate editors for the journal over the past 10 years. And one of our projects has been to document basically the perspectives of the giants of our field, and that's something I'm very pleased with, very proud of. I'm really looking forward to working with our UT Pan American colleagues in creating the new university, University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. I think it's a very exciting time to be here.